All right. Well, welcome everybody to a very special webinar. My name is Lisa Bell Henson. I am a holistic nurse coach. That just means I help people reclaim their health, move more, hurt less, and also increase their joy and what we call self-agency. Our ability to direct our own lives and our health is a huge part of that. My website is Lisa Bell Henson, HENSON.com. Feel free to reach out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the content, and we're always looking to get better. But this webinar really came as a result of conversations with our team about a lot of people who are setting health goals for 2024, and they don't know about one of the most comprehensive areas of human health. And so that is the subject of today's webinar. And some of you guys are already product users, you know about the science, and you're actually helping share this information with others. Some of you are going to be hearing this for the first or the second time, so everyone's going to fall in that range. We do want you to write down any questions that you have. We will have a time for Q&A at the end when we're not recording. And so also, we're going to save some of our really great information for the end, just to leave a little carrot for you guys. But we're going to have some experts on this call and also people who've just been product users who want to share some of their stories. My greatest regret is that I've been in this space for 7 years and I have not been a good record keeper on the stories, the people who've hugged my neck, who've had tears in their eyes, who've thanked me so much for sharing this with them. So I'm paying this forward and I'm sharing it with all of you guys because that's what we do. We'll tell you a little bit more about how we can provide this information for free. But I first want to give you a little disclaimer as a nurse, as a registered nurse, licensed registered nurse. I want to tell you that these statements that I'm making have not and never will be evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. They do not police natural products, but my recommendations are not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. They are simply to support the structure and function of the human body, which is actually built to heal itself when it has the right environment. And so just a couple of interesting facts before we really dive in. I wanted to share with you guys that there are over 70,000 published studies relating to cannabis and the endocannabinoid system. We are going to shorten the endocannabinoid system and call it the ECS, just so you know what I'm talking about. It's a lot of words, a little intimidating. But when I started 7 years ago, we did not have that huge body of data. We really didn't really understand exactly what we were delving into. But evidence shows that this human cannabis relationship predates written history, and the endocannabinoid system is, if you have to jump off soon, it is the master regulatory system of the entire body. It is the largest chemical signaling system in the body that regulates every other body system. So that's why it's so important. And there are more endocannabinoid system receptors in the brain than all other neurotransmitters, including dopamine, norepinephrine, and things that your serotonin. Humans are, by definition, hardwired to receive cannabinoids for optimal health, and that's why you're on this call. So I'm going to share with you the format we're going to use today is really just, I'm going to kind of read you what's on the screen. I'm going to add a couple of comments, but I've learned by teaching adults for all these years that the very best way of learning is to hear and see and read at the same time. So you can look at my screen, you can screenshot it. If there are questions that come up, then please make a note. But this is just kind of indulging myself and sharing information that absolutely lights me up because I've seen the results of it. And there's so many misunderstandings in the whole area of cannabis. We see it every day. I know I'm watching Steve and Jenny Todd. We're all on the front lines of helping educate, and there's a lot of misinformation. So let me tell you a little bit about why we don't know about the endocannabinoid system. In 1964, which kind of revealing my date of birth, that's my birth year, Israeli researcher Dr. Raphael Mechoulam identified THC as the main active ingredient in the plant cannabis. 3 decades later, he began studying exactly how THC works in the body and the brain, and that led to his discovery of a complex and elegant cell signaling system triggered by not only THC, but other compounds as well. Because the human body relies on the interrelationship of various systems working in harmony and balance, this 600 million year old system is now regarded as the most important physiological process for establishing and maintaining human health. Dr. Mechoulam named this system the endocannabinoid system, which we abbreviate ECS, because endo means within the body, and cannabinoid highlights the role of the cannabis plant that played in the discovery. So an ECS exists in all mammals, birds, reptiles, and anything with a vertebrae, including bunnies, birds, like you name it. The list goes on. And we have pigs, like cows, like we've had conversations about all these animals. But let me talk a little bit more now about the ECS with regard to its health potential, because that's really why we're here. The purpose of the ECS is to serve as the master conductor, sending chemical messages and triggering biological actions throughout the body that are critical to health and well-being. The outcome of this delicate, and I emphasize delicate, balancing act is to create homeostasis. It's a really important word. I had heard it, but I didn't really remember what it meant. But it's that internal drive within every cell in your body and brain to maintain balance and to promote health within the internal environment, even when facing external changes. Now, I just listened to a podcast with Deepak Chopra, and he said that homeostasis equals healing. And so if you cannot create homeostasis, you cannot heal your body. Really important. I can forward you that podcast. But the ECS is really critical to regulating the proper function of a wide range of body processes: nervous system, immune system, digestive, endocrine glands, brain, heart, lungs, kidneys, liver, spleen, bones, muscles, blood vessels, cells. We have receptors on every single cell, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So the ECS, in short, balances what is out of balance in the body. Simply put, if something is too high, like if your immune system is overactive, it helps to regulate it. If it's too low, it actually brings it up. It enhances it. And so here's the question that you can take away. We'll discuss at the end. Can you think of what may throw a system out of balance? And I'm going to tell you just really quickly, my youngest son is really the one who introduced me to the endocannabinoid system through experiences that he had with brain health. We had challenges that we discovered when he was a junior in high school. And I didn't know what to do, but being a nurse, Western medicine programmed and trained, I took him to his doctor and he prescribed a stimulant that I did not research. And that led us on a 5-year journey over 30 different medications to a point where in 2017, I was face down as a mom, feeling like I should have all the answers, and everything I tried made him more broken. He was a system out of balance, and the pharmaceuticals that he was using really contributed to that out of balance. And so I will kind of tell you the end of the story as we go, but this is really what introduced me to this whole area of health. So the potential of the endocannabinoid system: it balances and regulates key aspects of your physical, emotional, and mental health. Versus just thinking of yourself as a body, you are an interconnected being of mind, body, and spirit. The endocannabinoid system spans them all. So if you look at this list, you can screenshot it, but appetite, digestion, and hunger, immune function, inflammation. Yes, there are healthy levels of inflammation, but most people are triggered by having excessive levels of inflammation. Pain, reproduction and fertility issues, sleep, stress response, temperature regulation, memory, metabolism, mood, motivation, pleasure and reward, motor control, ocular pressure, emotion, cellular energy. We also know now that the endocannabinoid system can regulate the effects to THC, which is a psychoactive, addictive part of the cannabis plant that we will discuss as well. But here's just the nuts and bolts, the physiology, if you will. The ECS includes, number one, receptor sites on cells called CB1 and CB2. I'm going to show you a picture of those. Number two, compounds known as endocannabinoids that are produced inside the body from dietary fats. And those have names like anandamide and 2-AG. Those bind to CB1 and CB2 receptors. Don't have to really know the names. And then the enzymes that actually impact the manufacture and metabolism of these endocannabinoids. Receptors send vital information to cells, organs, and the nervous system, and are critical to maintaining optimal health and homeostasis. There's that word again. In the human body, the ECS is believed to have more cellular receptor sites than any other receptor system. It is a signaling system if it's fueled. This is what it looks like. So these are just little tiny receptors, cannabinoid receptors that are on synapses, which is how the body communicates with each other. And the phytocannabinoids are plant-based, and they fit like a lock and key into the human receptors. And those receptors are dormant unless there's either an endogenous or a plant-based cannabinoid that attaches to it. And that is what creates the homeostasis that we've talked about. Here's just another picture of what those receptors look like. Do you see how they're spread from the top of your head all the way to the tip of your toes? And this is color coded based on whether they're CB1, which is the brain, the central nervous system, the lungs, or CB2, which is, the spleen. We've got the liver, intestines, or the gut, the immune system, and then there's some that are a combination of the two. But based on where those receptors are is basically the results we see. There is some overlap in this, but you can see the areas impacted by CB1, inflammation, stress, blood pressure, mood, and memory. And then CB2, and this is a summary, I might add, inflammation, immune system, bone and skin health, cardiovascular system, and liver and kidney function. And I've literally seen stories of people over the 7 years who've fueled their endocannabinoid system, and the body is the one that decides exactly where they're going to see it. But again, just as a review, the definitions: endogenous means something that originates internally. And cannabinoid means cannabis-like. That's how it got its name. So this is the body's internally produced fuel for the ECS, named for the plant that led to its discovery, Cannabis sativa. That is the hemp plant. Phytocannabinoids are the plant cannabinoids that match human receptors. And this is kind of the miracle. It's like hormone replacement therapy. They allow us to replace what we're not making enough of. So hemp and marijuana are both forms of cannabis with compounds that attach to cannabinoid receptors. They are grown with very different genetics, but are cousins. The legal definition of hemp is having less than 0.3% tetrahydrocannabinol, THC. It was made legal in the 2018 Farm Bill as a dietary supplement. Very important to understand. This is a totally different industry than marijuana. A plant cannot have high THC and high CBD concentration at the same time. Hemp has higher CBD, which is the natural, gentle part of the plant, and low THC, which is the intoxicant that's aggressive. Hybridized marijuana can contain THC levels over 40%, and the endocannabinoid system has very little to do with THC, which attacks the endocannabinoid system like a jackhammer. So a lot of people think that marijuana is the full octane, it's the real deal. And what we have seen is hemp is really the medicinal part of the plant when you can actually minimize the amount of THC. They look different. The plants are cousins. They're genetically connected, but in the field, they're two totally different industries. So hemp is tall and lengthy. It can grow really high. And there's 50,000 different uses of the hemp plant. Marijuana is short and bushy. It grows to be about waist high with high concentrations of intoxicant THC. It's really grown for its psychoactive intoxicating effect. It's sold through dispensaries, if it's sold at all in a state. There's a whole history of why. We don't know about the difference between these plants, and it really goes back to the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937, subject of a whole nother webinar, but you can research it and look at the special interests involved. But literally, since 1937, we as a country in the United States have not had access to hemp. And as a result of that, there's a lot of deficiency out there. So I want to just speak about THC, because a lot of people are a little confused about that. They hear about Delta 8, Delta 9. But while THC gets most of the attention, there are a total of 150 cannabinoid compounds that are unique to cannabis. So it's plant medicine. In addition, there are a lot of additional valuable compounds in the plant besides cannabinoids, and I'm going to show you that. Mishulam and early researchers believe that all of these compounds are really important. They work together to produce something called the entourage effect. So when a person ingests marijuana, THC quickly overwhelms the endocannabinoid system by attaching to CB1 receptors throughout the brain and body. It's a distorted and amplified version of what anandamide an endocannabinoid, does. THC overpowers the endocannabinoid system, and it basically wipes out the ability of anandamide to fine-tune communication between brain cells. THC affects virtually every cell in the body. It can impair certain mental functions like reaction time, memory, and judgment. It can affect the parts of the brain that make us feel good or high. But it also may have positive effects on glaucoma, on nausea and vomiting associated with chemotherapy, loss of appetite and weight loss, and HIV and AIDS, chronic pain, and muscle spasticity. But we're going to hear that the cannabinoids actually have a role in many of those as well. Here's one additional: if you're a parent or if you know somebody who is, approximately 1 in 10 people who use marijuana or THC will become addicted. When they start before age 18, the rate of addiction rises to 1 in 6. Marijuana can cause permanent IQ loss as much as 8 points when starting at a young age. Studies link marijuana use to depression, anxiety, suicide planning, and psychotic episodes. Driving under the influence can create dangerous effects with reaction time, and it can be harmful during pregnancy. It may cause fetal growth restriction, premature, and stillbirth. And a considerable evidence has linked THC use to earlier onset of psychosis in those with genetic risk for psychotic disorders, including schizophrenia. So it is not, well, it is controversial for a reason. But here's what I want to show you. This is kind of the beautiful world that we live in, because God has given us this plant that has over 400 different compounds, and 150 of those bind to the human receptors. And this is just kind of an overall view of CBDA, CBG, CBGA, CBC. Like, it's like alphabet soup in a way, but each of these different plant compounds has a different biological role. And CBD is obviously the most well-recognized, if anyone's ever heard of it before. But look at the list of what CBD can do. I mean, like, this is screenshotable because I'm not making this stuff up. Antibacterial. We know that it kills MRSA, inhibits cancer cell growth, neuroprotectant. It promotes bone growth. We have multiple people who've used CBG and have known on their bone density scans that they've gained bone. Reduces seizures and convulsions, reduces blood sugar levels, reduces functions of the immune system if your immune system is overactive, reduces inflammation, reduces risk of artery blockage, reduces small intestine contractions. It reduces vomiting and nausea, relieves pain, relieves anxiety, slows bacterial growth, suppresses muscle spasms, tranquilizing, treats psoriasis, and is a vasorelaxant, or relaxes the blood vessels. Other facts, in 1937, the third most widely prescribed product on the market was a cannabis product from, guess what? Eli Lilly. Nearly half of people who start using CBD stop taking traditional medications. So do you think that the pharmaceutical industry loves or hates us? Your guess. CBD's ability to calm is perhaps its most popular effect. And these are all just, you can just Google and find a lot of these headlines. But we see that CBD is a great potential newer treatment for anxiety and psychotic disorders, anxiousness, stress, PTSD, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So why use CBD? Well, I think we would not really be surprised to know that aging, environmental stressors, in fact, stress is one of the major killers of cannabinoids in the body, toxins, diet, genetic expression, and lifestyle can and do damage health. Any organ system can express impaired health, including the endocannabinoid system. And this was really a very interesting to me, that there's an actual deficiency called clinical endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome. And that is really just reduced ECS activity that is linked to a variety of illnesses or symptoms. And those endocannabinoid deficits are associated with reduced ability to adapt to chronic stress. So the clinical endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome symptoms are similar to fibromyalgia, migraine headaches, irritable bowel syndrome, treatment-resistant anxiety and depression, bipolar, and the list goes on. It continues to grow. This has grown over the 7 years that we've been in this space. And until now, people have looked to drugs to treat symptoms, and we can use the plant-based version of CBD to overcome this deficiency and fuel the endocannabinoid system as a natural avenue to restore health. So if you think about those systems that are out of balance, how does traditional Western medicine restore balance? Let me think about that for about 2 seconds. They don't know what balance is, just as a little clue. So phytocannabinoids in hemp simply address the underlying clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. And I'm just going to, again, we're not claiming any cure to any of these illnesses. What we're saying is the phytocannabinoids fueling the endocannabinoid system can bring relief. So just as my son in 3 days using a branded product, which I'm going to show you, had relief from his brain health issues. But oftentimes, any kind of expressing itself as treatment resistant, you'll find migraines, seizures, fibromyalgia, depression, anxiety, panic disorders, neuropathies, insomnia, gut issues. Those things can express themselves as symptoms. Or you'll see rampant inflammation in the body with multiple sclerosis, irritable bowel, rheumatoid arthritis, liver injury, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, or expressing symptoms like nausea, nicotine or drug addiction, pain, PTSD, OCD, ADHD, osteopenia, and psychosis, just to name a few. And so we've spent a lot of time talking about the problem. I'm going to pause right here and make sure everybody's muted. So hold on just one moment. We're going to make sure everybody is muted. Mute. Okay, thank you. And then let me continue. So we're going to spend just a minute here on the actual solution. Because if somebody is deficient, they are usually having some type of symptom, and they're going to go to their practitioner, like I took my son, and they're going to use Western medicine to either drug, surgery, or do a procedure to try to get them back to health. And so what I would like to suggest as you approach 2024, full spectrum hemp oil addresses all aspects of endocannabinoid deficiency. It includes cannabinoids, mostly CBD, but that's going to depend on the genetics of the product, but also terpenes, flavonoids, vitamins, especially A, beta carotene, B complex, vitamin E, omega-3 and 6 fatty acids, magnesium, zinc, potassium, calcium, phosphorus, and iron, all 20 amino acids, including 9 essential. And there are over 400 bioactive compounds to create this, what we call entourage effect. And so what we recommend is a full spectrum, not an isolate, because there have been adverse effects using isolates with high doses versus a full plant complement. And so what we can say after 7 years is that CBD hemp therapy is safe, it's non-addictive, it's non-toxic at multiples of recommended doses. You just can't hurt anyone with it. And yet we know that not all CBDs are equal. And this is a picture that is showing our water-soluble branded CBD versus an oil, which is 90% of the market. And so the question is, how do you pick a CBD? Because you have to be very, very careful. There are no FDA guidelines. This is a new industry, but hemp is a bioaggregator. That means it pulls from the soil everything in it, whether it's good or bad. And so it's really important to know where your CBD is grown and sourced. Is it full spectrum, or is it an isolate? Is it an oil, or is it water soluble? And you find a company with support and at least 7 years in the industry. Company's qualifications, you can just screenshot this. Really important that you can pull up a certificate of analysis that shows you what's in it and what's not in it. Full disclosure, you want full transparency. With QR codes, you want a seal of certification from a certifying body such as the U.S. Hemp Authority. You want it manufactured under good manufacturing practices, not a backyard version. Homegrown is not necessarily great with CBD. We also don't recommend that you buy your sushi or your CBD from a gas station. And you really do want to have some type of scientific studies that support the technology they use. So I was very fortunate in that the doctor who reached out to me actually was a representative of a company called Zalise. It is really the company that is allowing me to spend my time educating you for free on a webinar on New Year's Eve, like Eve. And so this is a brand that has not only stood the test of time, but it has stood the quality control gold standard. and we can share more information with you on that. But this is really the product. It's called Ultracell, and I'm so passionate about this product. This is a product my son was introduced to that in 3 days literally changed our lives. He felt better. He felt like he had more focus and concentration. And 7 years later, this has helped him heal his body. But again, it is a full spectrum. We recommend, and we learned about a year after this Ultracell product was launched, that CB1 receptors are activated by CBD, but that the CB2 receptors are activated by its companion called cannabigerol or CBG. And so we found that that combination has really, really greatly increased the efficacy of this product. We also want to share a pharmacokinetic study, because the kind of dirty little secret in the industry is that most of what you swallow from a CBD product is an oil with an absorption of 3 to 6%. And so Zalise, as a company, invested in a technology that made that oil water soluble. And therefore, we have a study done with human subjects that shows up to 94% absorption, literally within the first 2 hours of ingestion under the tongue, stayed in the body for 12 hours. So what we know is we know how to dose it. We also know that a small amount goes a very long way. So you really do save a lot of money and a lot of waste. This is a picture of the fact that oil and water don't mix. So if you're currently using a CBD and you wonder if it's water soluble, you can just drop it in water and see what it does. Does it hang on top? Or does it like emulsify like that picture in the beginning? But ours all emulsifies. That's just because your body is mostly water. You want something that's actually absorbed like that. And so now I just want to shift, and we're going to just talk a little bit about the fact that, you know, you can understand all day long how to get healthy by fueling your endocannabinoid system. But at the end of the day, unless you fuel it, you are no healthier than before. So we like to talk about a wellness cabinet because we don't really have a drug cabinet anymore. And I'm not going to just beat you about the head and neck, but I want to show you just what I'm really recommending a lot that I use myself and that we have great results with. And then I'm going to also bring on this webinar Dr. Stephen Todd, because he is the true expert on sleep, and I want you to meet him. He's amazing. But this is what we call natural health enhancers. There's a product called Ultra Glow, and with my pharmaceutical background, I am a junkie for clinical studies. Like, I understand the importance of science, good science, and this is the most researched hemp supplement I've ever seen. We call it an energy management system, but it is a combination of really, really great plant genetics. It's a very rich cannabinoid product, but it's a powder. So it's like, think pixie stick. You dump it in your mouth. This is a product that had a 90-day clinical study with over 100 subjects that was done at Mayo Clinic. And I did a live on this earlier today, but has over 30 different health benefits. It aids sleep during restless nights. It helps with situational stress. I honestly, if I could recommend just one product for people to use for their entire life, it would be Glow. There was actually that groundbreaking study in 21 with the NIH and Mayo Clinic that showed at the end of 90 days, increased REM sleep, and modulated sleep wave cycles, weight management support, lost over 2 inches in the waist, decreased appetite and decreased sugar cravings, lower blood sugar A1Cs, reduced inflammatory markers. Really, really very powerful study. And then CB2, in the world of CB2, remember CBG, we have a product called Shield. And it has also some immune compounds, echinacea and elderberry, but this is also a powder that is a companion product. Remember, we have 2 sets of receptors. And this is a fuel that activates what's called 2-AG and promotes gut and digestive health. We love to use them together. The gut has 5 times more neurons in the brain. We've seen benefits for bone health, relaxed, smooth muscle, helps with drowsiness and sleep at night. So I like to take Glow in the morning or Shield in the PM. You almost can't take it wrong, but I'm telling you right now, if you're on this webinar and somebody invited you, ask them how you can get Shield for free for life as of tomorrow. get back to whoever invited you. And it's a real deal. I'm not lying to you about that. Ultra Dream is another great non-CBD cannabinoid product. So it still modulates and fuels the endocannabinoid system with other plant compounds. And in fact, this is a great time. Dr. Stephen Todd, are you on this webinar?
Yeah, we're just disconnecting all the off mutes and all that stuff.
I know, I hear you. You're coming in loud and clear. And one of my great joys of having started this business 7 years ago is the amazing leaders that this has brought. I didn't know you guys before this project, but the people who shared with other people who shared with other people, dadgummit, man, we got Steve and Jenny Todd in our lives. And I just wanted you guys to share, share, Steve, just your background and just kind of why you use and recommend Zalease products.
Jenny's?
No, you go.
You go. Well, my background, I'm a sleep specialist here in Pensacola, Florida. I have been for many years, and that's what I do. Jen and I have been married 45 years and 45? 46. And anyway, it's been great. We've been connected with Zalease now for what, 7 years?
7 years.
7 years. It's been wonderful. We met Lisa, Lisa, that was a phenomenal presentation.
Yes.
Oh, Steve, yes. Some of these slides are yours. So just saying.
Well, yeah, but you did a great job. Wow. I tell you, I'm supposed to teach a course in March, a little course, and I think this could be the first, thing, just to let you know.
But she wants you to talk about sleep.
Oh, okay. Well, sleep. So anyway, I talk about sleep. And we work with all kinds of patients. Most people think that we just deal with apnea or CPAPs, but we deal with snoring and insomnia. And this is where Dream comes in. Dream is a phenomenal technology for sleeping issues. And the reason it's not just a melatonin and GABA with chamomile extract. This water soluble technology is unbelievable when it comes to uptake of and getting it going in the body at night. And it's just really, really a phenomenal technology. And the GABA in Dream also is important because GABA also can slow you down or get you to chill out even during the day. So GABA is a very, very important molecule that's paired up with this. And a lot of companies have that, but they don't have the GABA in a formulation that blends well with melatonin, so it doesn't really work very well.
Let me intercede here. I apologize, but a lot of the people that we see are truck drivers or military, and they just don't even go to the CBD space. They just can't, and I respect that. Don't agree with it, but I do respect it. But I bring that up to tie that in with what Steve just said about this GABA. This Dream product during the day. If you can't take CBD to slow you down a little bit, this would be a great product for you to take during the day because it's a non-cannabinoid product. Great product. We have I tell you what, Lisa, do you mind me sharing a story about Dream in the day?
I'd love for you to.
This is a friend of mine from church, and she has an adopted daughter from China that has a lot of PTSD issues. And whenever her daughter, who's about 10 years old now, just has some challenging times during the day, my friend will dose her daughter with Dream, and it within minutes just settles her down and calms her and relaxes her with a totally safe product. So this Dream product is incredible. It just has so many uses. Lisa, we even have friends in the Zalease business that go to dog shows. They know all about animals and pets, and they promote this product and sell a lot of this Dream product to give to their pets, to people's pets, for the same reason, to reduce anxiety in their pets. So great product, Dream. So
yeah,
awesome.
We use it a lot, and it's phenomenal. Again, ultracell technology is phenomenal. So as we're in Zalease, so we understand that. We talk about it, we nonchalantly mention it, right? And then you step outside this little circle here for just dip your toe out of there, and you go, that doesn't really exist anyplace else, just right here. So it's pretty cool.
Well, and I know Kayla is listening. She's a transplant nurse who has an amazing bull mastiff named Joshua. And she's used a lot of the Zalise products for Joshua, who had some behavior issues. I won't tell you what they are, but she says the Dream product's been the bomb for him. It's been the best. And so it's, Dr. Todd, would you just make a mention of R&R as well and what that's, how that's...
R&R is a great technology. It's cannabinol, and CBN is sort of a complement to CBD, and it's what research there is on CBN shows that it works well in the evenings, particularly because it tones down the ECS. So by toning down the ECS, it works a lot of ways, I think, like THC, because it doesn't get you high, but CBN is a direct organic degradative product from THC. So my point being that I think that's how it does. It tones it down. And we've had great results through the years with our patients with R&R and Dream. So,
about concerning sleep cycles?
Yeah, sleep. Yeah, we do what we do too, just to let you know about sleep a little bit more. Dream and R&R don't work the same. They don't work in the same wavelength. They don't work in the same backyard. They different pathways completely. So where Ultra Dream is a melatonin substitute and supplement, we know that you got to have melatonin. The sun goes down, certain things happen, and if you don't have melatonin, then you don't really go to sleep. Then you don't stay asleep very well. So we know melatonin's pathway. R&R is new technology with cannabinol, but the pathway is more, it doesn't help you go to sleep as much as it helps the sleep cycles that you get into. About 10 o'clock at night, you start getting into these sleep cycles throughout the night, and R&R helps potentiate the sleep cycles, particularly as you're in that awakening cycle and then you're sliding into this deep sleep. That's where R&R works really well, and in R&R patients. And it's just, we use them differently, but they both work very well. So I take both.
Awesome. Well, we've learned so much on sleep from you. It's awesome to work with the best. So thank you so much,
Thank you,
Jenny and Steve, for hopping on this. And I'm going to just kind of finish up with just this kind of my last slide, because I want to also share with you guys, one of the things I've learned from Dr. Todd is just the importance of energy. And yet some people still have pushback. They don't fully understand what cannabis, hemp is, or like Jenny said, they might be a truck driver, somebody that has, their career prohibits them from using a hemp product. But this is our latest that we work with a company called Zalise, and they are really a very innovative company with regard to holistic solutions for wellness. This is an alternative to Monster and Red Bull. If anyone that is wanting more brain energy and more metabolic energy, this is a nootropic, which helps with focus, concentration, mental acuity, and performance. And it's awesome. You actually just, again, it's a little packet you can mix with 16 ounces of water, and I just sip on it through the day. It helps me be less hungry. And yet it is not a hemp product. So we always say get your edge on, because this is a really great product for focus and concentration, having more energy, which life is just all about energy. And if you want to start 2024 with a bang, so to speak, then you definitely want to think about Ultra Edge. And here's just a mention on safety and legality. This is just something that we get questions on a lot, but this is legal. Hemp, I'm talking about now, is legal in all 50 states as of the Farm Bill of 2018 with less than 0.3% THC. It also, most urine drug screens test for THC, and so it is not detectable, especially our liquids. We've had 7 years of really scrutiny on that, but if you're concerned, please ask us. And in terms of drug interactions, we get the question, if you're on a pharmaceutical. I never even thought about that when I introduced this to my son, who was on a lot at the time, but these gentle cannabinoids tend to really do well on a lot of things. But there is a metabolic pathway, and I'm not trying to impress you, but it's called the cytochrome P450 pathway that Coumadin can interfere with. And so some other prescription medications use this pathway. So let's talk about it if you have any questions at all. But for the most part, this is the most well-tolerated therapy. It's better tolerated than exercise, just saying. So I'm going to just finish with an offer for you for a free personalized health consultation that literally can change your life. So you're either on this webinar or you're listening to a recording of this webinar because somebody shared it with you. And it could be you personally. If somebody had invited me to a free personalized health consultation, I would have, in my ignorance and arrogance, said I didn't need it back in the day, but my son was suffering. And as a result, when he turned and asked me if I was willing to use these products as well, I was like, I don't think I need them. But once I did the research, I learned that, oh my gosh, increasing a cell apoptosis, which is the removal of dead cells. My mom died at 54 from cancer. And I thought, I really need to protect myself from having the same demise. And so when I turned 55, it was a really big deal for me. I'm now almost 60. And so I just want you to know that this is a company that pays it forward to other people. And because my life has been impacted, my son's health has been in so many ways restored from the introduction of these natural cannabinoids, that we want to offer the same thing for you or for your family. That's what we do. That's what our team does. That's what Steve and Jenny taught. And I see Deb Ray. We are locking arms together to really help educate the world on that presence of the endocannabinoid system. And it literally starts with you. And so our offer is to get back to whoever invited you and say, hey, I'd love to have a chat. Nobody's going to pin you down and make you take anything, but it's just a free offer. Because our company is a pay it forward company, we want to pay our good health and our good fortune to you so that your 2024 is going to be the very best year of your life. And that is our offer to you. I'm going to stop the recording, and I promised that I would answer some questions. I also want to tell you that my greatest regret is that we are not sitting live, drinking our favorite beverage and talking in a group like we love to do live, because that's when each of you who are already users and sharing this can share your story with us. And those stories, when you get people together, I tell you what, they will bring tears to your eyes to see people who have suffered and have, through a winding path, found one of us and learned a product, a story, a science that radically changed their lives. And as Steve and Jenny talked about, their patients' lives. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to stop the recording. And if you guys want to stick around, I would love that. And we're going to answer any questions that you have. So hold on a minute.